Hello everyone, my name is Bruce Postovit. I am a Dekalb DSM in Colorado. I'm here today at CHS Yuma with the CHS Sales Agronomy team. What we'd like to talk to you about today is Climate Fieldview. Next slide. What is Fieldview and what does Fieldview do? Fieldview is a Bluetooth enabled tool that provides the following. It records planting data, it records harvest data and provides a bunch of harvest analysis tools, which we'll show you. Records sprayer data, provides satellite images, and also gives you the ability to remotely view your planting, spraying, and harvest operations on the farm. Let's talk a little bit about factory productivity. On the left side, you see a John Deere combine line. That's assembly line A is producing 100 combines per year. On the right side, assembly line B is only producing 90. So if you're John Deere, your management team would come in with a bunch of engineers and consultants and try to figure out what's going on with assembly line B and why B isn't producing as many combines as line A, because for John Deere or any factory, profit is combines produced times price minus their expenses. So if you're running a factory, whether it's combines or whatever, you really need to understand why an assembly line isn't producing as much. The reality is farm productivity is just like a factory. Every field is like a factory producing bushels rather than combines. So your factory produces bushels. Just like a production facility or a factory, your farm has soil types and a lot of different things going on in the fields. This is a screenshot from Fieldview, and we'll talk about how Fieldview works a bit more in a second. But this is a soil map that is provided through Fieldview of this particular field. This is a Yuma County field, irrigated field, and you can see in this case it has three major soil types, soil A, B, and C. In this case, soil A is producing 235 bushels, soil B 260, and soil C is 205 bushels. So just like the example where we showed the combines being produced on assembly lines, corn's being produced by these soil types. In this particular case, soil B is way outproducing soil A and C, and the question has to be, why is that? Or how can I get soil A or soil C to produce more like soil type B? The beauty is that Fieldview provides you a bunch of analytical tools to figure out how you might be able to figure on the farm how to increase the yield by soil type. Fieldview, coupled with your CHS sales agronomy and yield point team, can dig into the data and do the analysis and help figure out how to maximize these soil types or maximize fields on your factory, which is your farm. So why use Fieldview? I think the number one reason is that Fieldview provides insight into maximizing profit. Fieldview is really kind of an agronomic tool. It allows you to analyze different things on your farms agronomically, whether it's a hybrid or a fertility treatment, a fungicide, or a biological to determine whether or not the yield increases when you change different agronomic things on your farm. CHS also has a program that is called Agellum that can also be used to provide supplemental information, but Agellum provides a lot of cost accounting information. So Fieldview provides more agronomic information. CHS's Agellum program provides a lot of cost accounting information. Just like the factory, profit on your farm is a function of bushels rather than combines, but it's bushels produced times the price you get minus the expenses. Some of the expenses on the farm are fixed and some are variable. So if you look at profitability, how can you increase profit on the farm? In this example, you can increase yield and keep expenses flat. This example, increase both expenses and yield, but increase yield more than expenses. In this case, keep yield flat but reduce expenses. Or in the bottom case, actually reduce yield but reduce expenses more. The question is, how do you understand all of these scenarios? And how do you determine how to increase yield by keeping expenses flat? Or how do you decide if you're going to expend more and you're going to get more yield? How do you make that determination? Fieldview gives you the ability to do that along with your CHS sales agronomist. So how does Fieldview work? Fieldview, as I mentioned, is a Bluetooth-enabled tool. What that means is Fieldview, one of the components is what we call a drive. It looks like a little hockey puck. This Fieldview drive plugs into the CAN bus on your planter tractor, your combine, or your sprayer. So the diagnostic port on your piece of equipment, your tractor or combine or sprayer, is where this plugs in. Information then comes out of your monitor on your sprayer, your planter tractor, or your combine, and is sent to your iPad, and from there the information is sent up to the iCloud where it's stored. This particular equipment or Fieldview can be used for corn planting, wheat planting, sorghum planting, just any crop you want to plant. Same thing for harvest. If you want to harvest wheat or corn, it'll collect that data. The important thing to remember is that the data collected is owned by the farmer or the customer who has purchased Fieldview. Monsanto or Dekalb or CHS does not own your data, does not have any access to your data whatsoever. Now, that being said, you have the ability to share your data or share your Fieldview information with trusted advisors. So if you have a CHS agronomist that you'd like to share some information on planting or harvest, you can give them the ability to look at that single field or your whole operation, your whole farming operation. If you decided you wanted to have CHS's yield point team do some variable rate planting maps for you, you can share it with an individual on the yield point team like Mark Bernheide. So you are in control of the data and you decide what you want to do with it and who you want to share it with. So Fieldview really starts at planting. So what you do is you plug in this CAN bus into your planter tractor, or if you're planting wheat, it would be plugged into your tractor that's pulling your wheat drill. Plug this in. The monitor basically tells the Bluetooth and the iPad what's happening. It's all geospatial reference. So in this case, this is an example of a very large test plot being planted in Yuma, Colorado. You can see here a bunch of hybrids, all color-coded, and over here are all the hybrids that were planted. So basically, you tell Fieldview what you're planting as you go across. The beauty is it's all geo-referenced, geospatial, so now when you come with your combine and you pull in front of one of these hybrids, it knows which each one of these hybrids is. It doesn't even have to match your combine width, your header width. So for example, if you had a 12-row planter and you wanted to do 6-row plots, you could split the planter, tell Fieldview that the first 6 rows is hybrid A, second 6 rows is hybrid B, and then when your combine comes to harvest it, your combine will know what hybrid is on what side of the header as you just pick up 6 rows of each hybrid. So it's all geo-referenced, and it makes doing test plots super easy. And not just hybrid test plots. If you wanted to do some things around a starter package with one hybrid, you can tell Fieldview, okay, with this particular hybrid, I'm going to do starter package A, B, and C, and I want to see which one of these starter packages might produce the best for my farm. Or you may, for example, also want to do something through pivot irrigation. You could throw an extra shot of nitrogen at V6 or tasseling, and then Fieldview can record what's going on and whether or not it was a good agronomic decision. So it all starts at planting. So once the crop is planted, it needs to be harvested. The beauty with Fieldview is everything's usually a one-button push and you can get to data. So this is where the really interesting thing comes, where the interesting information comes through yield analysis. And it really starts at a high level, and you can drill down into a bunch of detail and really figure out, fine-tune what hybrid works for what particular soil type. So at a very top level, you hit one button here on the iPad screen, and you can see here it's a fields button. So this now tells you by field how each field yielded. In this particular farm, the average yield for the farm was 219 bushels per acre for the average for the whole farm. But you're going to see down here, field number 25 made 270, field 19 made 269, field number 29 made 262. So the question is, at a very high level, is why are these fields producing at such high yield levels when the farm average is only 219? And how can I make the lower yielding fields yield more like these fields so that this average will come up significantly? So as you drill down, you can then go from a field level down to a hybrid level. Now you can see how each hybrid did across the farm. So in this particular case, on this Yuma farm, 6435 by Dekalb was 300 bushels, was the top yielder on the farm. Pioneer P0801 was number 2 at 277. So now just from a hybrid perspective, you can determine which hybrids yield the highest on the farm versus the lowest. Then drilling in further, you can now push the soils button, and you can look at the soils across your farm. And like I mentioned, Fieldview When you plant, it knows where all your fields are at. We pull in all that government data from the soil data from the government, which is loaded automatically into Fieldview. And now you can see that on this particular farm, Haxton loamy sand was the highest yielding soil type on the farm at 282 bushel. And then each soil type has a corresponding yield. Down here on a Haxton sandy loam, or a other one here, your albanus loam, you're at 227. From there, you can even drill down further. So now you can look at soil type and you can say, okay, which soil type on my farm, or which hybrid will produce best by which soil type on my farm. So now we've drilled down into Haxton sandy loam. So we're just looking at the Haxton sandy loam on this particular farm. And we're asking Fieldview, what hybrid is best on this soil type? And in this case, Dekalb 6435 was number one. There's two of them here. And P0801 was at 261. So now you have some very valuable information. So for next year, you can say, okay, the fields that are predominantly Haxton, sandy loam, these are the top hybrids, and this is what I should be planting on those particular fields because I know these hybrids produce better than the ones way down on the bottom of the list. So very, very valuable analysis tool. Fieldview also provides the ability to actually do some region reports where you can actually take your finger on an iPad, draw a circle, and get some yield information, which is way different than a traditional yield map, which is static and you can't really do anything with it. Fieldview allows you to split the screen to look at different things. So in this particular case, on the left side, we have a yield map. On the right side, we pulled up the soil map for this particular field. If you look at the yield map over here, it looks pretty uniform despite having some different soil types. So it doesn't look like a big difference, but if you want to drill down and do some region ports, you can then drill down on the next slide. So in this particular case, this is one hybrid in this field. I drew a circle here with my finger across two soil types, and you can see this particular hybrid on one soil type has 233 bushel, on the other it's 225 bushel. So really unique tool. If you had a particular field like this, and a lot of these fields within Colorado may have a pH band that runs through it that are always problematic, Fieldview provides an excellent way to do that. If you say this was a pH zone, you could do 2 or 3 or 4 hybrids across here, do a region report right across the pH, and you could determine which hybrid yields the best on a particular soil type or particular pH area. So we talked a lot about hybrids and hybrid performance. You can also do things like checking and seeing how a particular treatment might work. This is an example of a biological seed treatment. So this is a field, again in Yuma, one hybrid, but it has a different seed treatment. So the blue area is Dekalb 6067 with quick roots, which is a planter box biological seed treatment. You just dump it in the planter box. So the blue area has quick roots. The orange areas do not have quick roots. So same thing, I put the cursor here. I've got a yield map. I got planting map on this side. I got a yield map here. We'll go to the next slide, and I'm going to draw a region report right across this area. So I've drawn a square right across the split between quick roots and non-quick roots. Now you can see Dekalb 6067 with quick roots was 245 bushel. Dekalb 6067, same hybrid without quick roots, was 239 bushel. So you've got a 6 bushel yield advantage by adding the biological treatment. So 6 bushels times $3 per bushel is $18 added of gross revenue. And then you got to ask yourself, well, what does quick roots cost, or what does whatever I'm doing cost? Quick roots in this case is about $5 or $6 per acre. So now you've added about $13 of net revenue to your bottom line. So that's the beauty with Fieldview, is you can really look at treatments, look at if they increase your yield, look at the cost, and determine whether or not it's helping farm profitability. So those are some of the harvest tools, analytical tools that we provide. And these tools can be used on dry land or irrigated ground. They can be used on corn or sorghum or wheat or whatever crop you're planting. The other thing that Fieldview provides is satellite images. The satellite images that Fieldview provides are about a 3 to 5 meter resolution. If you want really high resolution, CHS has a provider called TerraAvion, which provides images down to about 6 inches. So if you have some fields you really want to get detailed on imagery and you know there's some really substantial problems going on, you're probably better off purchasing Terry Avion images through CHS. But if you want just a general satellite image, they're included within the Fieldview subscription. This again is an example of a Yuma County field. Last year in 2017, we provided images every 8 to 10 days. So about every 8 to 10 days, you'll get a notice and say you've got a new field image, and you're going to get a satellite image on every field that you've planted within Fieldview, whether it's a wheat field or a corn field or a sorghum field, irrigated or dryland. You're going to get satellite images across your whole farm. In 2017, Colorado users received about 16 images per season, okay, so within season. The way Fieldview works, and we'll get more into the pricing in a bit, Fieldview is a per year annual subscription, and the subscription's not per acre, it's per farm. So if you look at the cost of satellite images and just say, okay, if I'm going to just look at what a satellite image costs, if you had a farm with 2,000 acres, a satellite map is going to cost about 3 to 5 cents per map. So very, very low cost using Fieldview. Last thing I want to talk about is what we call remote view, and I mentioned this in the beginning. This is a nice little feature within Fieldview, and it's an amazing technology piece. Remote view gives you the ability to remotely and real-time view what's happening on your farm. So for example, if you were not able to be on the farm on a particular day, so you had to run to Denver to do something, but you wanted to kind of keep tabs on what's going on the farm, remote view allows you to do so. So if you were remote away from the farm, if you had an iPad with you, you can plug into your Fieldview account and just connect in with the app, and in real time you can see what's happening remotely. So this would be whether they're planting, spraying, or harvesting. This is a harvest map during corn harvest, and this is exactly what they'd see in the combine on the iPad. This is an iPad screenshot, and remotely you're going to see exactly what they're seeing in the combine. You'll see a little combine running across the field, and it's going to give you the instant yield, the field yield, the moisture, the instant moisture in the field. So really nice tool if you want to see what's happening on the farm and if you're not able to be there at a particular time. So let's talk a little bit about what Fieldview costs. As I've mentioned, Fieldview is a subscription-based tool. It's not a per acre-based tool. The annual subscription cost is $999. Okay, so that's the subscription component. Then there's a little bit of hardware that we need to talk about. The Fieldview drive, which is this device, and a mounting bracket to mount this in your combine or your tractor. Those two together are $299. So the drive and the mounting bracket are $299. This system requires an iPad to be in the cab, whether it's in your planter, tractor, or your combine. iPads are about $400 each. A lot of farms now have iPads, so you may already have one. The iPads that are compatible, if you look at the charging port, they have what are called a lightning charging port. It's the same small charging port that your iPhone would have. Some of the older iPads had a really wide charging port with a wide charger that plugged in. Those are not compatible. But the iPads that are on the market now are compatible. They have a small charger. So if you have an iPad, check to see. You may not have to actually purchase an iPad. The way this works, again, is the subscription covers the whole farm. The drives work for each piece of equipment. So if you're running 2 combines or 2 planter tractors, you would have to have a drive in each one of the pieces of equipment. So if you have 2 combines running in wheat harvest or corn harvest, you'd have a drive in each combine and an iPad in each combine. If you just have one piece of equipment, then you just need one drive, one iPad. The same drive goes into your planter tractor. You'd move your drive and your iPad from your planter tractor and just move them into your combine. So you don't have to duplicate that. But if in the same field you're running 2 pieces of equipment, then you need to have 2 drives and 2 iPads. And when you're running 2 pieces of equipment in a field or 10 pieces of equipment, the data seamlessly is stitched together onto a yield map. So there's nothing you have to do, it's just automatic. So all in, subscription plus the equipment, including iPad, is about $1,700. If you didn't have to buy an iPad, you're in at about $1,300. Your annual subscription, though, going forward, you would not need to buy any equipment, so the annual subscription is only $1,000. The good thing is Dekalb has a trial use program that we've coupled with Fieldview, and it basically offsets in entirety all of the costs associated with Fieldview. The way the program works is that you would purchase Fieldview, You'd also purchase 3 hybrids, 3 Dekalb hybrids, 6 bags each. So you buy 3 different Dekalb hybrids, 6 bags each, total of just 18 bags. Use Fieldview for planting, then come back, use Fieldview for harvesting, and then you provide the yield data through Fieldview. And all you need to do is share the field, that one particular field, with your CHS person or myself. And once you've shared that information just on that one field, you're going to receive $2,200 back. So total all-in cost anywhere from $1,300 to $1,700, but you're going to receive $2,200 back. So if you want to take advantage of the Dekalb trial, it's a limited time trial. And in addition to that, if you want to try Fieldview, you really need to get set up prior to planting. So if you have interest, talk to your CHS sales agronomist or talk to your CHS yield point representative and let them know you're interested, and they can get you set up on Fieldview and can get you set up on the Dekalb trial. Last thing I want to mention is the tool is incredibly easy to use. A lot of people are concerned about technology and having one more thing. Fieldview is an incredibly easy to use tool. It's always just a one-button touch and very, very easy to use. We've got really good support from CHS and the Precision Yield Point Group and the sales agronomists, and we also have really good support at Climate Corporation. So I thank you for your attention today and appreciate your business. Thank you.